I have never felt more uncomfortable walking around a European city.
There is not many jobs, maybe. A lot of immigrants, no paper, no job. There is difficult.
Hey there. I've come to what many would consider to be the most hated city in Europe. They say it's divided. They say it's dirty. They say it's getting more dangerous. They tell me nobody really wants to be here. But worst of all, they say that it's really boring. Welcome to Brussels in Belgium. Let's go. All right, so I'm standing right outside La Gare du Midi. So that's the main train station. If you're coming into Belgium, like you're coming in on a day trip or a weekend trip, this is where you would arrive. This is where you would get out. And honestly, the area right outside the station, this has to be the worst looking place I've seen in Europe. And that includes Eastern Europe. I mean, I'll be honest, you know, in New York City, places like the Jamaica train station area, that doesn't exactly look great either, so we won't jump to conclusions just yet. I believe there's a guy taking a piss in an electric box over there. Got a porta potty right there. Why does the dude need the electric box? Got the porta potty right there. So again, because it's the central train station, so you can see a bunch of tourists walking around with their luggage, probably as confused as I am. You also have like some abandoned luggage over there. I don't know if those are like belonging to drug dealers or something. Maybe this is like a zone for homeless encampments or something. I'm trying to give Brussels a fair shot here. All right, I just got here. Currently, everything I'm seeing in this area, including the many boarded up stores and stalls, is suggesting I shouldn't spend too much time here. The most famous thing to visit in Brussels is called the Grand Palace, and if we keep walking straight that way, we'll get there in about 20 minutes or so, as long as we don't get stabbed along the way. Brussels and Belgium in general is actually a divided country. There's two main languages, French and Dutch, or Flemish. I'll talk more about that a bit later. It plays an important part in maybe why this city is falling apart. Yeah. So far, Brussels looks like a place of my nightmares as a child. But anyway, I'm getting a little bit hungry. Should try and find some breakfast. I'm not really sure what Belgians eat for breakfast. It's probably similar to what they eat in France. There's obviously been tons of French influence on the cuisine here since it's a French-speaking city. But as we get to later, was it French influence or was it Belgian influence on France? Maybe things are just very gritty looking. This graffiti actually says, abolish the police, not just the police, abolish prisons. So in Belgium, I'm sure not everybody thinks this, but apparently some people don't want to just defund the police. They want to remove them entirely. Brussels is a bit of a special city in Europe. It's actually the capital of the European Union. It's like the headquarters. So the European Parliament, all these things where they passed legislation for the EU, that's all located here in Brussels, which is getting harder to believe the more I walk through this city. I don't really like that there's literally nobody here. And then, almost completely out of nowhere, I walk into a billion tourists. I guess we're back in a European capital. Apparently it's a Spanish tour group. Oh, I think I've heard of this thing. It's a statue of a pissing baby. I think this might be the most famous thing in Belgium, other than waffles. Pardon. Ici c'est le site touristique le plus important de Bruxelles. Ouais. There you go. We just visited the most important site in Brussels. A pissing baby. Don't know if that's a metaphor for anything. We'll find out as we keep walking around. Got some rum bottles in the window right here. Down there, got rum from Jamaica, Jamrock. Even got one from Guyana over there, Barbados. All these places are like super exotic for the Europeans. Very far away. Oh yeah, this is like a completely different vibe now. There's probably like 100 different squares in Europe that look like this. Not that it doesn't look nice. It's just, you know. It could be the Belgian royal family up there. Excusez-moi. Est-ce que vous savez, ça c'est la famille royaume?
Non, on ne connaît pas. C'est l'hôtel de ville et on pense que c'est un mariage.
Oh, c'est l'hôtel de ville,
oui,
ok.
On sait du mariage.
Oh, c'est juste du mariage.
Je pense, oui.
Ah, ok, c'est ça. Merci alors. I might just be a random person's wedding, which is no less important. Liège.
Do you want something on top?
Qu'est-ce que tu recommandes?
Fraise chocolat.
Ça va, fraise chocolat, oui. Ça va pour moi. There are two super famous foods that Belgium invented, and they don't really get credit for it. One of them is this, waffles. The Belgians created the waffles. I feel like people know that one a little bit more. They know the Belgians came up with that. All right, I can't imagine that I'm gonna feel super great after eating this, but there's a damn good waffle. Waffles are like the kind of food where like right before you eat it, you're super excited. And it tastes really good for a minute. Then you eat the whole thing. And then you say, why did you do that, you fat piece of shit? Except I'm not fat. Ha! I'm good. Fast metabolism, baby. Gotta eat 4,000 calories or more a day to gain weight. I'm serious. Blessing and a curse. Ici c'est le Rwanda et ça c'est le Congo. Les deux ils sont sympas, le Rwanda et le Congo. Rwanda and Congo. We've been to both places on this channel. Rwanda was wonderful, although a bit of a police state. Congo was possibly the most corrupt place in the entire world. Both of those places were Belgian colonies. Rwanda, and I think also Burundi, started off as German colonies, but then Belgium took over after World War I. Congo has been home to near continuous conflict since its independence, and also had the bloodiest and deadliest war on the continent. Rwanda had a horrible genocide that you may have heard of. Belgium was kind of the poster child for not doing a good job. Predictably, after eating that waffle, I feel like I want to go take a nap. Ask for a coffee. This is what they gave me. Just wanted a normal coffee like the one that guy's got over there. Alright. So that small sandwich and that coffee cost $17. I have heard that this city is a little bit overpriced. That might be proof of it. Well, this could just be a touristy area. Don't know. Got a bit more energy now. Let us continue our tour of Brussels. So I think we're walking around like the center of Belgium right now. I would say Belgium has by far the biggest homeless population of any city in Europe I've been to so far. Or at the very least, the most visibly homeless. Pretty sure Paris during the Olympics went through some kind of cleanup program. Yeah, Brussels starting to look a lot nicer. There's still a lot of mental patients running around yelling, but it's like we've entered a different universe. Monsieur, une question, c'est quoi le bâtiment là?
Là, là-bas.
Oui, oui.
Le palais de justice.
Le palais de justice. Oh, okay. There you go. The Palace of Justice. It's currently under reconstruction. I'm sure once they finish the reconstruction, that'll be an epic deal. Here's a nice little garden. This definitely has more of a Paris vibe to it. There go the cops. Heard a lot of sirens in Brussels so far. It's only 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So Brussels is a very unique city in Europe. It's one of, if not the only, bilingual cities on the continent. Officially. Unofficially, the language here is French. It's a bit of a weird story how that came to be. In the 1800s, Brussels was actually a majority Dutch-speaking city. The king of Belgium was a Dutch speaker. And then he just made the decision, out of nowhere, to force everybody to speak French. Because at that time, the language of high culture, of education, pretty much across the world was French. And so slowly, a city that was majority Dutch-speaking became French-speaking. The king's decision to change Brussels into a French-speaking city also inspired many immigrants from France to move up during all the upheavals that they had in their country. And boy, there were quite a few. But that change was way more controversial than you might think. Officially, Belgium is split between two communities, the Walloons and the Flemish. The Flemish speak Dutch, the Walloons speak French, and Brussels is actually located in the Flemish area, the Dutch-speaking region. So it was almost like, yo, what the hell? You guys took our biggest city. Now this is interesting. You see that statue over there? You know who that is? That's King Leopold. I've never seen anything like this. They've allowed the statue to stand, but the grass is clearly overgrown. There's spray paint graffiti on the statue. Finally found a tourist site that's not overcrowded. King Leopold, for those that don't know, may have been the biggest legitimate villain from the European colonial era in Africa. Unlike the other colonies in Africa, which were controlled by Britain, France, Germany, Portugal, in Belgium's case, in Congo, it was basically the personal fiefdom of this guy. of King Leopold. And he was definitely kind of an asshole. A very efficient asshole. He thought, if I'm gonna have a colony in Africa, it needs to be profitable, no matter what the cost. And the cost was the slaughter of many, many people in Congo. Brutal stuff, like cutting off people's hands if they didn't work hard enough. He was the poster child for bad behavior in Africa by the Europeans. And actually, most people in Africa would consider him up there with like Hitler as the worst people in the world. When they think of Europeans doing bad things during colonialism, they think of him. I think that Indian couple is about to take a picture in front of the statue, not knowing who it is. Or maybe they do know who it is. And you know, look, I apologize to the Belgians. I'm not trying to say that all of Belgium was like that. Modern day Belgians are a very different group of people. That guy is a part of their history, you know? I don't really believe in like erasing people out of your history, no matter what they did. History is history. But you can see the complex feelings that the state of Belgium probably has about the man. I mean, what the hell is this? They're just intentionally allowing this area to be overgrown. It's not marked as a tourist site. Very interesting. All right, we seem to be walking into the more modern side of Brussels now, the more European Union side. Like, for example, on this sign, it says tunnel, and it has the European flag for some reason. Does that mean we're like going into a European Union area? Might be. We're also probably entering the more stereotypically boring side of Brussels, because I don't think I could imagine a more boring job than being an EU bureaucrat. And here you are. This is the European Parliament, where the laws that affect all the countries of the EU are proposed and passed, and sometimes forcefully passed down. And over here you have all the flags of the EU. They have Italia, got Austria over there. I think that's Luxembourg. I feel like this is like second tier EU countries. Here you have a statue of a lady holding up a euro, which is probably a good representation of the EU. That is the biggest accomplishment of the EU, having open borders between countries that used to hate each other, and now they all use a common currency. In many ways, it's a miracle. In other ways, it kind of sucks. In the wake of World War II, after half the continent was literally obliterated, many thinkers across the continent wanted to come together and figure out a way for that to never happen again. And what they came up with eventually became the EU. It started off as an economic coalition, and then later became the modern European Union that we know today. But it wasn't that long ago that Germany, France, the Netherlands, Poland, these countries fought each other in massive wars, the largest wars the world had ever seen. Millions died. And now they're in a single union. They managed to put all of them together. They even had the UK in there for a while, but they kind of skipped out. To put that into perspective, imagine if China, Japan, and South Korea and North Korea were all unified into a single union. That would be insane. And if you told Europeans in the early 1900s that Germany, France, Poland, all these guys would be in the same union, they'd think the same thing. Democracy in action. However, one of the problems with the EU is that there are a lot of leaders that are unelected. They're not voted in through democracy, and in fact the ones with the most control are unelected. This has led to controversy. Probably the single biggest controversy is the requirement that all of the EU member states have to take in a certain number of migrants. The Irish and the Eastern Europeans especially have a huge problem with that.
South African Belgium.
South African Belgium.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, like Afrikaner?
Half.
Half. Oh, okay, okay. And you're Belgian?
I am as well.
Oh, okay, okay. How do most people feel about the EU lately? Good, bad?
Mostly good.
Mostly good?
Yeah.
Probably mostly just eh?
No, mostly good.
Mostly good. All right. It's probably the same kind of vibe if I asked a random American, like, how is Congress doing? Let's see how the Belgian metro is. So Belgium has a ticket. You basically buy the number of rides that you want. They also have like a one-day option. It's like €8. Not a bad deal, honestly. There's the stations we can go to. There's another homeless person. This was a little confusing at first, but if you accidentally go to the wrong side of the tracks, you gotta like go out through the turnstiles again, then go through another turnstile to get the way you're going. How you doing? And then I think it's like good for a period of 1 hour, somebody told me. So you won't get charged. So again, even though this is basically a French-speaking city, right here you have a sign, I think, asking for somebody to buy the advertising space. That's in Dutch, completely in Dutch. Book deze, I don't know how to pronounce that, sorry. This seems to be a common thing in Brussels. Every train on the metro seems to just get delayed for no reason. Like we're just sitting here. It's been minutes. All right. Apparently they also have trams in Belgium. Okay, I mean, as much shit as you could justifiably give to Brussels, this is miles ahead of any piece of transportation in New York. I wish we had this in New York City. All right, that was a nice, pleasant little Brussels tram ride. And now we are in what I think is like the Brooklyn of Brussels, the hipster area of Brussels. Graffiti over there says, "Down with capitalism." That worked out really well in Europe the first time. There's a food that there's a very good chance you had today. French fries. And it has the most inappropriate name ever, because French fries were not made in France. They were made in Belgium. Should be called Belgian fries. But in French, they don't call them that at all. They just call them frites, like fries, which is simple. Kind of makes more sense. That's the list of options we got here. We have an American option, which I think is just ketchup. All right, there you go. Some Belgian fries. As you can see, they put a bunch of mayonnaise on top of it. That's a very European thing. I don't know at what point I started being okay with that, but now I am. It's like a higher quality version of a McDonald's French fry. That's Belgium's national food. Just sit in the park with my frites on a Friday afternoon in Brussels. The most hated city in Europe. That's Susi. This station is called The Fucks. What the fucks? You know, it's kind of weird. That green-haired dude over there, I got here yesterday. That dude has been sitting in the same spot for like 48 hours straight. Why is it all hipster neighborhoods globally kind of look the same? You know what I mean? It's always like a little bit of graffiti. And of course, La República Argentina. Argentina put their embassy in the hipster neighborhood. Anyway, I think I'm kind of out of interesting things to do in Brussels. I've been told that if I keep walking like west, eventually I'll get to a neighborhood called Molenbeek, and there'll be like some drug dealers that will get really mad because I'm carrying a camera around, and they'll try to fight me or kill me or something. We could do that, or we could also not do that because that'd be really stupid. So I think I'm gonna go chill, and then tomorrow we'll get out of Brussels. As a bonus, we'll go somewhere else in Belgium. You know, I kind of feel like I haven't said enough nice things about Belgium. And there are good things about Belgium. All right, good morning. I'm in the Brussels airport, which is a very average airport. But the people are nice. And I just rented a car. Brussels, what else can we say about Brussels? It's a city with a very complicated identity, and I don't know if it fully represents Belgium. What I've been told is if you really want to get to know Belgium, you got to go to one of the two main regions, Wallonia or Flanders. Flanders is where they speak Dutch, Wallonia is where they speak French, and today we're gonna go to Flanders. What I want to do is I want to go to a place that shows when the Belgians were heroes. I want to show the Belgians at their best. And I know just the place. Let's go. So this is actually my first time driving an electric car. That's what they gave me at the agency. It's pretty fun. They made an offer to me, or maybe that's just standard procedure, I don't know. They said, you know, if I finish my trip today on the power that the car already has, I don't have to recharge it. So that's pretty cool, because I don't even know how to do that. I guess you got to use like one of those little charging stations, but yeah, never done that in my life. Now that we're getting out of Brussels, all of the signs on the side of the road, they're all in Dutch, which means I gotta remember those 2 weeks of Dutch I learned back in Suriname a couple of years ago. There's a quote by Charles de Gaulle, the famous former eccentric president of France. And that quote was, "Belgium was created by the British to annoy the French." And like every joke, it's half true. At the start of the 1800s, Napoleon was just going around Europe, dropping L's on every other country there. It looked like he was going to take over the whole thing. And during that time, France controlled Belgium. Belgium was just another region of the French Empire. So after the Battle of Waterloo, after Napoleon and his armies were defeated, the British, along with the other European powers, they came in and they wanted to make sure the French were put down for a while. So in 1830, the nation of Belgium was created. It combined two groups of people that really didn't have that much in common, except that they were Catholic, the Flemish and the Walloons. And when Belgium came into being, it had a treaty with all the big European powers, saying that it was neutral. Nobody should invade it. In essence, Belgium was created to be a buffer state between France and Germany. And so that is why Belgium exists. Now, hearing that, you might think that Belgium is kind of a joke, but I assure you, Belgium definitely earned its place at the table of nations. And that's all because of a little conflict known as World War I. World War I. Yeah, you know. That one where the one guy got shot and then there was a big war between a bunch of different countries you can't remember the name of. That one. The reasons for the war were pretty convoluted. Basically, Germany wanted to go and kick France's ass. Belgium was sitting in between the two. So Germany told Belgium, hey, we're just gonna march our army right through you and we're gonna go beat up France. Is that all right? We're not really asking you. Belgium said back to Germany, nah, you can't do that.
They made tunnels,
Yeah.
until they were under the Germans. And then they put the dynamite under and they
They put
made it
dynamite
to
under them.
explode.
Wow. Yeah.
If you go there in the woods, there you will find German bunkers.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow. It's a lot of stuff over here.
There's so much to see here.
Yeah.
Every evening in Ypres you have the last post
I see.
under the Minning Gate. So if you are in Ypres you have to go to the last post.
Wait, what is that? The last
The
post?
last post.
Okay, they have it every evening.
Every evening.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you think that Belgians became more unified after World War I?
I really don't know. I suppose not.
Fair enough.
No, because there was in the army there was a big difference
Yeah.
between the Flemish people and the Walloons, the ones who spoke French.
Yeah.
So the officers were all French-speaking people.
Oh, really?
So the Dutch, they didn't understand the French.
Oh, wow.
So what an army it was.
Yeah, that's kind of tough. You can't understand each other.
No. So sometimes they didn't agree with the officers, so they bang, just finished.
Really?
Yes.
No, that's crazy. So the Flemish the soldiers, they just shot like the
Yes,
French-speaking
yes,
officers?
Yes.
Wow. All right, you have a good day, sir.
Have a
Thanks
nice
for all the
day
information.
in Belgium.
Wild. I like the Belgian sense of humor. It's a little bit dark, but that's my sense of humor. It wasn't that Belgium loved France. Nobody loves France, except for the French. Pardon, mes amis, c'est une blague. It was more, Belgium wanted to be treated as a sovereign nation. And they were thinking, you know, if we let the Germans in, you guys are gonna come into our house, you're gonna take your shoes off, you're gonna start running up our electric bill, our water bill, and then all of a sudden, we have a squatter who's never gonna leave. And so, it was in these very fields that the Belgians were the first to fight the Germans in the very first battles of the war. And in these fields, millions of people died. Millions of men marched to their deaths in horrific, absolutely horrific conditions. You have some of the flags that fought for the Allied powers. As he was saying, the main army that was fighting here was Canada. Go Canadians. There's your flag up there. But anyway, he also said behind this bar right here, there's trenches. Like actual trenches that people fought in. Seems like it's closed though. I like how this bar hid like a German flag in the back. Maybe the owners are secretly German. Go slowly.
Holiday.
Yeah. Holiday is ruined. Damn, this bar seriously put a barbed wire around this property? Just want to see the trenches. It's got me shook about jumping over that because for all I know, maybe you put landmines there too. How can the one guy who has access to the World War I trenches go on holiday? Europe. All right. All right, listen, we're not gonna end this video without finding some World War I era trenches. There's gotta be more. We're gonna find it. This is a cemetery that contains the remains of soldiers who perished in the trench warfare that was fought here. You can see on this grave it says, "Soldier of the Great War." Don't even know his name. You notice that name they used, the Great War. Back then, they didn't know there was going to be a World War II. That was the Great War, the war to end all wars. Okay, I managed to find a World War I trench hidden amongst a bunch of processing plants, wind turbines. I don't know what's going on in this area, but that's the flag of Wales right there, if you didn't know. The British were heavily involved in the fighting in World War I. Much more so than the Americans. The Americans actually were here in this part of Belgium, but they came at the very end. These are the kinds of trenches that World War I soldiers would have been in. This is what they were living in for months on end, through the rain, with the mud, all while bullets are going overhead. And then worst of all, imagine, you gotta remember, this was the first real modern war. You know, the French, the Germans, the Belgians, they all showed up and they had no idea how sick weapons had gotten. Like, they started throwing around mustard gas and they were like, oh shit, we're not ready for this. It seems to be a tunnel. Oftentimes, different armies would build tunnels under the trenches, sometimes as an effort to get to the other side. They would do anything to get a surprise attack on the other army. But the reason why it was known as trench warfare was basically the armies were just stuck at these trenches for long periods of time and nobody really gained any ground. People kept dying and dying and it was all for nothing. And now it actually is raining, which is definitely annoying, but in a way, it's kind of a good representation of how much it would suck to be here. And the Belgians willingly signed up for this. The Belgians sacrificed thousands upon thousands of their men to fight the Germans. It was at that point, I believe, that Belgium truly became a nation, and no one could ever take that title away from them. Although, as that guy back there said, I don't know if they truly want to be a nation. It is a zone Bargestraat. The limit of my Dutch knowledge is that means street. Straat, street. I don't know what bargie is, but I know it's bargie on a street. So we're now in the town of Ypres. And you can see, since we're now in the Flanders region of Belgium, the buildings, the architecture look more Dutch. If Brussels kind of looked like a poorly designed Paris, here kind of looks like Amsterdam without the canals. What is this weather though? It's like kind of cool, it's cloudy, constantly looks like it's gonna rain. It's like we're back in Ireland now. Apparently they're throwing a carnival in Ypres. Or maybe they just turned it into a tourist trap. Well, when in a tourist trap, you gotta lean in. This is almost like World War I. The safety measures on this are good as they could be. One of these little girls accidentally turns and shoots the wrong way. I think that would actually hurt. Knock down the white cylinder. All I got was some pop-pops. Maybe my shooting skills have degraded since Tokyo. Are you all from Northern Ireland?
Yes.
Oh. The Northern Irish. How did they get here? Every time I meet people from Northern Ireland, they're having a parade to celebrate defeating the Catholics.
But every evening is the last post, 8 o'clock.
Oh, that's what that.
That's at 8.
That's
so
at 8.
I don't know.
Something
This is
different.
something.
No, I don't know. It's special, but that's a band from Belfast.
Okay. So at the last post, they do that every day.
Yes.
Yeah, that's in
Around 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
And that's to signify what exactly?
The end of World War I.
Oh, the end of
to
World War I.
commemorate all the people who died, or all the soldiers who died in the First World War.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
We will remember them.
I can kind of tell I'm not in the French-speaking part of Belgium anymore, because there's a lot of people taller than me. Torrential downpour. How do you say rain in Flemish?
Regen.
Regen?
Regen.
Regen.
Maar het gaat niet ophouden hoor. It will keep on raining. It's not going to stop. So,
Wonderful.
yeah.
Thank you.
Bummer, but
A little bit of a bummer, yeah. Dank je wel.
geen probleem.
Regen. Too much regen. Maybe we'll get back to the car now. All right. I have a 50% charge left, which is good for 222 kilometers. It is about 150 or 160 kilometers from here back to Brussels. I'm just a little bit worried with this rain, because if I hit like a traffic jam or an accident or something, that's gonna take up more time. But as long as we get back to Brussels, as long as we get this car back without having to recharge it, we will celebrate by having Belgium's greatest achievement, Belgian beer. One win I gotta give to the Belgian government here: haven't seen any tolls so far. The other European countries, they just nickel and dime the hell out of you. It's not even nickel and diming, it's like 10 euros, 20 euros the hell out of you. It's coming down to the wire here. Only got 20% charge left. More than a half an hour to go. Is this what it's like to drive an electric car all the time? I keep missing the turn for the airport. Hope we make it. Spoilers, we made it. All right, we're back in the most hated city in Europe. Still haven't had dinner. It's 12 o'clock at night. Don't think I'm gonna be able to find much food, but we could probably find a Belgian beer. Why so many thieves in Brussels?
Maybe there is not many jobs, maybe.
That's why?
Yeah.
That's the reason.
Lot of immigrants, no paper, no job.
Okay.
Alright.
Well, thanks for the tips anyway.
Yeah, man. Respect,
You have a good one.
Yeah, man. The same to
See you later.
Respect. In the next junction, just go direct.
The next junction. Okay, thanks. Alright. I have never felt more uncomfortable walking around a European city than Brussels. That dude was saying you shouldn't be walking out here. I was just trying to get a beer and some food. Let's do that and get the hell back to the hotel. Est-ce que tous ces bières sont belges? Oui, oui, des bières belges.
Ça belge.
Ok.
Ça belge, Engelway belge, Fra belge, ça filet belge. Filet Brussels.
Okay. Shit, after walking through that nightmare, I really need a beer now. Triple Carmelier. Vous voulez une bière?
Non, c'est gentil.
Non, c'est gentil que... C'est mon... Oh, c'est ça.
Voilà.
Ok. C'est mon dernier jour en Belgique. Oui. Okay, 8.8% alcohol volume. That's what I need. Oh yeah, Hogarth. That's Belgian too, isn't it? C'est un peu dangereux ici dans les rues. Il y a des gens très bizarres. Finally got a beer. I don't want to walk in these streets anymore. Let me get back to the hotel. I'll wrap this up. They got the police holding down some dude right in front of the hotel. Alright, that's enough for me. Okay, wow. Putain, what the hell? Okay, so I was just on Google Maps. I was looking for this place. Like, there's this thing on Google Maps. It's called Eric's Burger Street Food. Who would not want Eric's Burger Street Food? You know, especially since there's basically no other options at this time of night in Brussels. Oh, little did I know, to get to it, I'd have to walk through this extremely sketchy looking area. It was bombed out. There's like boarded up windows everywhere. And then I think I almost accidentally walked into a kind of red light district. I immediately had dudes asking like, hey, what's with the camera? And I am 100% sure if I kept walking around there looking for that burger restaurant, I was gonna get into some kind of confrontation. Probably would not have ended well. So, that's Brussels. So if for some reason you find yourself in Brussels, do not go wandering around at night looking for food. And if you do, keep your head on a swivel. All right, good night. See you tomorrow. Hey, good morning. So actually right down the street from my hotel, there's this big monument right here. And I'm told it's the monument of the eternal flame. And there you have it. There really is a flame. To the heroes of the war. Ici repose un soldat inconnu, mort pour la patrie. Here lies an unknown soldier, died for his country. And up there you can read that it says September 1830. That is when Belgium officially became a nation. So an eternal flame built to permanently annoy Charles de Gaulle and Napoleon. And then right behind it, you have this little square right here, which doesn't even seem that touristy. Brussels, Belgium. What can I say? Don't know if I could recommend this place. If you're on a limited trip to Europe, you only got a few weeks, I don't know if I'd pencil this one in. This is garbage graffiti, man. Here you have something explaining the construction of the Midi station. The media station is the one that we came into, where we started the video. Basically, you just have a bunch of panels here explaining history around the city, and people just come in, spray painted all over it. I feel like the government in Brussels just doesn't really give a shit, which is weird because the European Union is there. Maybe they have their priorities on something else. Here's some church bells coming from somewhere. Belgium, I think the problem is, I'm not sure that you even love yourself. You obviously have two big communities here, the Flemish and the Walloons, and definitely at least one of those two isn't super happy about being in this country. But Belgium, never forget that this is a nation of heroes. A nation that has fought back against much bigger powers. And although you may not have founded your nation completely on your own, you definitely earned it. I think whatever spirit that Belgium had back in World War I, when they're resisting against Napoleon and people like that, some of that spirit has to come back and help re-transform the city. Clearly there's plenty of money here. Just don't think there's a lot of love for the city and the nation. Well, Belgium, I'm rooting for you. Hope you can make a few changes. Make your city, your capital city, the capital of Europe, a little more beautiful, a little more desirable. And then maybe I can recommend people come visit. Until then, I am off to another nation in Europe. Maybe somewhere close. So, until then, au revoir.